because you have a lot of people that have not put foot to ass. So then that way they can make sure that they have everything in order in reference to retirement, their finances in order. Heck, their health is not in order. So, everything is a byproduct of a early mindset. If your early mindset was to just go clubbing, to just hang out, be hungover, call out from work, of course you're not going to make it to work because you're still in another city.
Try to live well and prosper. Don't trust your doctor. Ruthless with my wordplay. No, I'm not a shotter, but I got them hits, man, coming straight out the barrio. That's why I'm hip hop sicario. I like my privacy. I show out every now and then.
Welcome back to the Rolo Runs the City podcast. I am your host, Rolo, and I am glad to be back with you guys for another week. And of course, we are going to hit on those things that are absolutely important in life. And of course, it's going to be self and professional development. And of course, we want to talk about something that's absolutely vital when it comes to today's society, this day and age, and how we are attacking life, leveling up at any age. I wanted to hit on this because I'm noticing a lot of people out there are just very discouraged in reference to how they're being approached in the job market, things of that nature, and what they can bring to the marketplace. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that are going on in reference to ageism. In case if you guys are unaware of that, it's a lot of people who are at an advanced age. They could be in their mid 40s, late 40s, and beyond. And they get to a point where they have a hard time trying to find employment and just trying to make those ends meet. So you're seeing a lot of gig work happening with these folks, whether they're doing DoorDash or Instacart or whatever it is, contracting themselves out so then that way they can do what they can to make those ends meet and stay from drowning pretty much. But before that, of course, you guys know the particulars, man. Definitely hit up the socials, man. Podcast, music at Rolo Runs the City, music at Rolo Runs the City podcast, Facebook, Instagram. You guys already know that. YouTube, Rolo Runs the City, X, Rolo Runs the City. And don't forget, man, check out RoloRunsTheCity.com where I have all things Rolo going on there. Of course, I dropped some new merch, so definitely feel free to check that out. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this topic, and the reason why I wanted to do it was because I'm noticing more and more people, you guys, are seeing a lot more younger people in the workplace, and you're seeing a lot of older people being driven out. Like I recall back in the day, whether it was the 80s or 90s, especially during that era when sports things were so vital in reference to having leadership. So you may have had a guy that's probably been on the roster for 11, 12 years. He used to be the guy about 5 or 6 years ago, not really the guy anymore, but they will keep him on the roster in reference to leadership and how he's able to carry himself as a professional, teaching the young guys to come up, to learn how to be professionals, how to approach the game, things of that nature. This is your profession. This is how you should handle your craft, so on and so forth. You're not seeing that anymore. Now you're seeing a lot of these guys being driven out because of the fact that they're like, oh, well, why are we going to keep these guys on the payroll for? It's a younger game. It's a faster game. It's a stronger game. And this guy doesn't have it anymore. We have to let it go. And back in the day, back in the 80s, back in the 90s, even back in the early 2000s, they would always keep guys there in reference to them being able to provide great leadership in their role. Now it's a thing where they're like, if we want to be inspired by a leader, we'll go ahead and we'll get a personal development guru like Tony Robbins to come speak to the team, as opposed to having that guy in the locker room that's going to be there the whole time. So you're seeing that right now in the civilian sector with regular jobs where they're pushing people out because they just don't want to have, I guess, older folks on their roster. But it's not for you to get discouraged because we already know that people that are older can bring great value into the marketplace. Okay, so that's why I wanted to do this episode today. And you have to understand where your mindset is at this time. Are you leveling up or are you just getting older? And the reason why I ask this question is because time is passing you by. Okay, I remember a long time ago, man. I used to look into several different things, and it's like, oh, this profession required X amount of training. This profession required X amount of years of education. And it used to get me discouraged because a lot of times people that are eager, as well as myself back in the day, I was just so eager that I was like, oh, I don't want to waste my time doing that. I want to dive into this now, and then I'll get my on the job training, right? But obviously, things take time in order for you to be credentialed. And then that way you can get into your chosen job profession and dive right on in. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize time is going to pass them by anyway. So if it's going to pass you by, then you might as well just go ahead, stop sitting on your hands, and get ready to get into that education, get ready to get into that vocational program. So then that way you can do what you can to level yourself up personally, whether if it's your finances or whether if it's just purpose. So my thing is, time's going to pass you by anyway. You might as well put it to use. Okay. But people fall into societal traps all the time, man. Whether if it's too late to start or even too late to even chase goals, right? Or they want you to just settle down and just coast. And I think that is a faulty way of thinking. And the reason why I say that is because you're having so many people right now that are going through this, well, I'm just going to coast on the back nine mentality, but they haven't front loaded their work. Okay. And the reason why I say they haven't front loaded is because you have a lot of people that have not put foot to ass. So then that way they can make sure that they have everything in order in reference to retirement, their finances in order. Heck, their health is not in order. So, everything is a byproduct of an early mindset. If your early mindset was to just go clubbing, to just hang out, be hungover, call out from work, of course you're not going to make it to work because you're still in another city. Okay, like you went ahead, you took time off, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it today because you were supposed to go back to work, but you're still out in Sacramento, California, where they had a gathering, and you decided you were going to stay another day. So you said, oh, well, I'll just call off from work and then I'll go ahead and fly in, the next day. People just do crazy things, okay? But I think that's the problem. A lot of people, if you have a bad mindset in the first half of your life and you're not front loading, the back nine is going to be pretty tough. But does it make it impossible for you to overcome? Absolutely not. Because as long as you're going ahead and trying to move the needle in any way you can, because my thing is, some movement is better than none. Late movement is better than none. My thing is, I wouldn't just sit there and just wait for time to pass me by till I just become dust and fly into the wind. Okay. You got to think about right now with the mindset of what people are doing. People are getting fit beyond their 40s and beyond. You're seeing a lot of folks that they are taking their health a lot more serious. They always say that you spend the first 40 years of your life killing yourself, and then the rest of your life trying to live and thrive and survive out of the bad first half of those 40 years that just totally took a toll on you. Okay, you're seeing a lot of people that are starting businesses at an advanced age and they're reinventing themselves. And I think I'm seeing a lot of that now because now social media has made things okay for people to understand that, hey man, it's not over. Okay, somebody's giving their testimony because they've been tested. And a lot of people have been able to come out on the other side and actually see what the hard work was all about. Say, okay, I'm going to work hard. Let me see what this is really about. And they were actually able to reap the fruits that they've sown. So I think it's absolutely important for people to understand that it is just never too late. But the worst thing that you could do is not make a move. Whether if you're going backwards or if you're going forwards, at least there's some movement. When you decide to stop, that's when everything is just at a halt. Consider yourself dead. It is what it is, because there's a lot of people, to be quite honest with you, you said, man, they fell back too far. They've taken too many steps too far. A lot of people, truth be told, are trying to make steps forward. They just don't know how to make those proper steps forward. So they keep making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And of course, they eventually dig themselves into a hole. Okay. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I know it sounds horrible to say they can make a mistake and it's not a bad thing, but they always say continue to fail forward. Okay. So my thing is, you have to actually make your mistakes, learn from your experiences, and just do what you can to start getting back on the positive end of that movement. You know, a lot of people don't really take inventory of, man, why did this happen? Why did that happen? If you really evaluated your situation and see what was the cause of these mistakes, you're going to learn a lot more than if you got the W right away, because we don't really learn from the wins, right? And it's true. Like, you really don't learn anything from a win, but when you get your butt kicked, it forces you to reevaluate what you do. So then that way you don't experience that feeling again. So there's definitely a lot more to take in from getting those L's as opposed to just always getting the W. And if you are making those mistakes, you're experiencing a lot of L's. So my recommendation to you, sir, ma'am, is to make sure that you're evaluating your performance and see what you can do to avoid such pitfalls the next go round. Okay. For me personally, right? I mean, I look at things that I'm doing, right? I started racing back in 2018, and I've had a pretty good run so far. Okay, it's something that's definitely helped out my mindset. It's allowed me to reinvent myself as the athlete that I knew that I once was, and to recapture that again. And I haven't felt this euphoria like I do now from running since I played high school sports. Okay, it's something that it just challenges me. God gives me the ability to walk. Why not run? So take that for what you will, lazy folks. Get off your ass and make it happen. Okay. Another thing too, continue on my music. I used to do music, I mean, a long time ago. I mean, I started doing music back in like '03. And like I said, I've talked about in past episodes where went under another moniker, wasn't really too proud of that material that I was putting out. However, it's stuff that allowed me to polish up what I have going on now with Rolo Runs the City. And speaking of, you guys already know, the Boom Bap Returns is the new album that I am dropping in May. It is done. It is complete. I am finalizing the mixing process with mixing and mastering. So, Lord willing, you guys will be able to go ahead and enjoy that in May. Okay. Also, the podcast is growing. I'm very grateful for you guys for even checking out the podcast, man. I mean, on all the streaming platforms, checking me out on YouTube. You guys have been absolutely amazing, and these are things that, like I said, you have to level up at any time in your life. You can't stay stagnant. At the end of the day, if you're moving down, and it's not because it's you're voluntarily moving down, like, you know, like I said, people failing forward, right? You're involuntarily moving down is because you're on a steady decline. You're about to be wiped out. You're done. Okay, get a shovel, go to the backyard, dig that 6 foot hole, jump aside, and just call it a life, right? But you have to make sure that you are consistently growing at all costs. And for me, I felt like this podcast was absolutely vital to what I'm trying to do in reference to getting my message out to people, to trying to help people prosper, helping God's people become prosperous, and to just do better for humanity. Like, I'm a firm believer, and I want to leave this place better than I found it. And unfortunately, when I found this place as a child, I was growing up in government housing, public housing, in Brooklyn, New York, and relocated to Lawrence, Massachusetts, and it was the same scenario, different location. Public housing it is, right? So I didn't find this place in the most greatest you know, of circumstances, but right now the things that I'm trying to build, the people that I'm trying to reach, the community that I'm trying to serve, I want them to feel that their lives are better because I did the best that I could to serve them the best way I knew how. Okay? And I don't say that to just try to be cute with it. I mean, I say that because I that's just basically that's me, man. That's how I feel. I've always wanted to be a person of service. Obviously, that's one of the reasons why I joined the military, and it's to be a part of something bigger than yourself. I think a lot of people can actually learn a lot from that and understand that if they knew that this life wasn't about them, there would be so much freedom in what they'll be able to do. People are so self-absorbed, and you can just see it, man. Like when somebody goes to shopping, at a grocery store, and then they don't bring once they load their car, they don't bring the cart back to the carriage corral. They just leave it there. Like it tells you a lot about the person. You know what I mean? It basically tells them that, well, it's not about you, it's about me, and that's what the guys doing the carts get paid for, and I'm just keeping them employed. And it's just it's a very narcissistic approach of life that I think people should avoid at all costs. Because at the end of the day, we always talk about it all the time. People try to fill in that void with material things, but no, something's missing. You want to know why? It's because morally you're not intact, and you have to do a deep dive within to try to get that situated. Okay. My thing, of course, is getting stronger at every level. In reference to, my finances, making sure I'm doing the best that I can to not squander away a dollar, and make sure it has its certain assignment. So then that way I know how to deploy my currency troops. Okay. Leveling up on my fitness, trying to get stronger, trying to get faster, but of course doing it the right way. I do know that I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and I need to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can do to get stronger, as opposed to injuring myself, thinking that I could work out like I did 20 years ago. I'm not able to do that. And I'm not saying that I can't do that, because greatness can come at any time, but it's not sustainable, because you have to understand not only is there a lot of wear and tear in the body, but when you're young, you can recover fast. Hormones are off the roof, man. There's no damage to them, okay? But obviously, as time goes by, we do a lot of damage to our hormones. So you may want to do the best that you can to have a proper training regimen in place in reference to your nutrition and how you move your body, okay? And then, of course, your faith. You always want to grow stronger and stronger with your creator, God, Allah, Buddha, the magical cow, whatever it is that you guys, the universe, whatever you believe in, just always having that spiritual connection with something that goes beyond your physical being, okay? And of course, your family. Not sure if you have a family in reference to like wife and kids, or maybe your siblings, or, being just a good son to your mom or dad, whatever it is. Just making sure that you're always strengthening connections no matter what. Okay? But you guys really want to have a level up formula, and I'm going to give it to you. Okay? Rule number 1, ownership. Accountability, no excuses. Stop playing the blame game. There's so many people out there that are pointing fingers all the time, and I say this all the time. When you put yourself in a situation, you can definitely get yourself out of it. And it's extremely difficult to get yourself out of a situation that you didn't put yourself into, but knowing that you gave yourself the screw job, you'll be fine. You'll be able to get yourself out of that. So Complete ownership is one thing. Being accountable for your own actions is amazing. Stop finger pointing. Stop using the index pointing at somebody. Start using that thumb and pointing at yourself, because at the end of the day, you put yourself in the predicament that you're in so you can climb your way out of it. Point blank, period, okay? And discipline, of course, beats motivation, all right? You have to understand, people are always looking for the perfect scenario, man. We talked about this before in past episodes. Oh, they want the perfect weather. And the land's just got to be dry. The planet's got to be aligned. And it has a beautiful, nice, sunny day. And then, of course, clear skies in the night. And they just want this perfect scenario. I mean, temperature's got to be at 72 degrees, with a slight breeze. It's crazy, man. That's not going to happen, man. That's not life. Life is so unpredictable. Okay, so the best thing that you can do for yourself is to become predictable. That's what winners do. Okay, they don't wait for the perfect scenario, they just move. We talked about this in past episodes, and it's absolutely true. So this is a way that you're going to be able to level up at any age, especially if you're in an advanced age. So my recommendation to you is the you know having a great routine is the mother of all discipline, okay? And people don't understand that they do have a routine. Just a lot of times it's something that's a detriment to their character, whether they're hitting snooze or whether they're going ahead and eating some bagels, which they shouldn't be eating. And I'm going to tell you like this, I'll be one that tell you I love me some Einstein bagels, and they're not obviously advertising on this episode, but that's some great food. I'm going to tell you that for sure. But does it mean that it's good for you? No, it's absolutely not. But there's people that'll go out there and they'll eat that every morning after they hit the snooze button. And then they realize, oh man, I got to run out the door. Oh, I haven't eaten any breakfast because I didn't eat my box cereal, which is not good for you. And then they go ahead, they'll hit up some Einstein bagels, and then they're gone, okay? Like, they have a structured routine in reference to how they operate. It doesn't mean that it's something that's going to benefit them. It's actually a detriment to what they do. So you may want to make sure you tighten up on that, okay? So like I said, discipline is always going to beat motivation. Motivation is like nitrous oxide, man. And, it's going to hit right when you want it to hit, right? But then when you want it to hit more, there ain't no more. You got to wait for buildup again. But that discipline is just that consistency that just keeps going. And of course, we're going to talk in reference to music terms, right? The metronome is like click, 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 click as you're composing a wonderful opus for the people, right? You have that metronome going on, click, 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 click. So then that way you can go ahead and see how you're going to attack your beat pattern and things of that nature. So then that way you can go ahead and build something great, okay? You have to be consistent. Click, 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 like the metronome, okay? If not, then you're out of the game, okay? And reinvention is power, man. And this is absolutely vital because it just shows you that you're a creature of adaptability. You're able to go ahead and get with the times. There's so many people that have gotten so far behind in reference to wanting to propel their business, because it could be things like, oh, well, I don't want to create a TikTok, or, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't need social media so I can promote my brand. And it's a lot of times, I'm going to be honest with you, back in the day, people would promote their brand or promote their companies via business cards, which is like really like not even a thing anymore. Okay, they would use promotional flyers, which is really not a thing anymore. You can't put a flyer on a car that is parked in a person's garage because they're no longer going to department stores or going to the grocery stores because they have Instacart now. So I'm not saying that you need to be on social media, but if you're trying to promote your brand and your focus is going to be trying to get your product out to the masses, I mean, that's a great place to start. Okay. So you have to understand that you're not the same person anymore. You're not the same guy that's back in, 2016 or whatever. And that's a good thing. Okay. It shows growth. And if you're still the same guy from back in 2016 and we're talking now in this day and age, then you have completely wasted many years of your life, because you should be an enhanced version of yourself by now. You should never get stuck on old software. You should not. I mean, and you guys know this too. I mean, in reference to your computers, right? Isn't there always a damn Windows update, like, oh, from Windows 7, and next thing you know, you got Windows 10 or Windows 11, and it's like you're always updating your software on your computer. You need to make sure you're doing that for your mind, okay? And a lot of people think, that it's like, man, I'm on the back nine of my life, and they want to become very reflective, but that reflection also becomes very negative too, because they feel like they're nearing the end. But that's a good thing, right? Because with you being on the back nine of your life, of course, wisdom is going to be youth any day. The experiences that you have, there's a hole there. I'm not going to step there because I stepped there before and my foot got all wet because it was a puddle. You already know the deal, okay? So that wisdom is always going to beat youth. And that's what you really need to take inventory of. But that's, of course, if you're paying attention to your life. If you don't pay attention to your life, you could just be an old fool and keep stepping in the same damn hole. You don't want to do that either, okay? Discipline beats talent all day long, okay? I think there's a saying that says, I believe, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That's a discipline quote. You know what I'm saying? That's just basically about discipline. It's about being consistent, showing up every day, and just putting in the work. Okay, there's a lot of talented folks out there. There's somebody that was better than Michael Jordan. There's somebody that's, well, of course, there's a lot of people that are better rappers than the current rap landscape right now, obviously, right? Because the current rap landscape, they fell out of the damn top 40, right? Let's just be honest, right? Because like hip hop music at this day and age right now is trash. But there's a lot of talent out there that's better than what's being put out. But the reason why what's being put out is highlighted is because those guys don't have talent. Those guys work hard. They have discipline. So we cannot knock their discipline. So your music may suck, but your hustle game is on point. So kudos to you on that. Improve your music, and then hey, man, you've got something to listen to. But anyway, shameless plug. Boom Bat returns May 26th. You already know it's coming, right? Anyway, but and then of course strategy is always going to beat speed. Okay, and obviously this comes with having that wisdom and that discipline, just being an older version of yourself, a more enhanced version of yourself. Okay, so are you on that back nine? There's a good thing you're on it. Okay, remember the youth has so much energy, right? But when you start moving in an advanced age, it comes with precision, because energy is equating that speed, right? Like, and the youth has it. When you become older, you not so much that you don't really have the time to make mistakes, but you become more precise because your risks are more calculated and your moves are much more concentrated. So I think that's an absolutely great thing that you say, oh, I may be on the back nine. That's good. Now's the best time to execute. Okay. But you have to think to yourself, man, this is now your moment to level up. I mean, for real. Okay. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. All right. Yesterday's gone. And you're going to, we'll deal with tomorrow when it gets here, right? But what you have is right here, right now. What are you going to do with your time? Are you going to build that business? Are you going to go for that audition if you want to go ahead and get into acting? And you may have more gray hair than most. Are you going to get off your ass and get your fat body into shape? Because you know that movement is medicine. And it only gets harder as you get older, but you only become stronger as you compound the work. People, come on, man. We got to do better. We must become better. The time is going to pass by anyway. Why not level up? Choose now. Choose today. Choose to be great right now. And I want to challenge you. And I want to say that and just ask, what are you going to do today? Are you going to really make it happen? Or are we going to keep listening to this podcast? Are we going to get motivated for a moment and then next thing you know, we end up flat and don't get anything done? I don't mind if you're checking out my podcast. I'm all for it. I greatly appreciate the support. But I also do want you to implement what's being said here and put things into action. Because we already know that, wanting without action is just a wish, right? And we need to stop wishing, okay? So do what you got to do. Get yourself in the most peak state that you can. I prefer if you didn't do this, man. But if you're older and you feel bad because you got your beer belly, you got a little bit of hair left, and the little bit of hair you got left is gray. I embrace the gray, so whatever, right? But there's some folks that they're predominantly gray prematurely, right? Because they just didn't live a good lifestyle. Okay, hell, go ahead and dye your hair, man. You'll be all right. Get yourself back into a peak state, so then that way, whatever's going to get you motivated to do what you need to get done. Okay. For me, and this is crazy too, because I always wondered why this. I noticed I had some gray hair, and then I noticed that I'm like, damn, I don't have as much gray hair as I had. And no, I don't dye my hair, right? But it turns out I heard something from the Huberman podcast that Andrew Huberman, of course, shout out to him, right? It turns out that when you do things a certain way and you're able to actually take care of yourself, you regenerate your hair back and it grows back black. And this was something that, or whatever your natural hair color is, right? And it was somebody that he had on his show. And I said, well, damn, that explains a lot. And I know running personally, like I got to a point where I was doing predominantly more running than anything. I know it was cooking me on the inside. You know what I'm saying? And it also advances you in age in reference to how your body adapts to activity. But, obviously, since I had suffered my injury, I scaled back on the miles and I started lifting weights again and doing different things. And I noticed, I said, damn, I'm getting a little bit more youthful. So, yeah. Do I miss hitting the trail? Absolutely. Do I miss hitting the pavement and going? Yeah. In fact, I have a run this Saturday. So, wish me luck on that, right? This was the run that broke me after I got hurt at in that marathon, which I did finish. But the Atlanta Hawks 5K, Fast Break 5K broke my back and I was done, right? No, but I'm just being silly right there. But that's something that I look forward to in reference to, hitting that pavement. But like I said, as you get older, you have to train smarter. So with that being said, I guess I was cooking myself on the inside and I was getting all that gray hair. But, obviously, some is regenerating back black. That's amazing. So definitely check out Andrew Huberman's podcast. I mean, it ain't like he hit me up or anything. He's got a big, crowd. I don't have nowhere near the following he has. But, definitely check his stuff out, man. He's got some really good stuff in reference to science and, anatomy and how human biology actually works. And he has great, guests on there. So feel free to check that out. But anyway, man, I'm going to stop rambling on about somebody else's podcast. I appreciate you listening to mine, but don't just get motivated off of listening to a podcast. Put your motivation into action. Action is going to equate to discipline. Discipline keeps going. Click, 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 like the metronome. Anyway, y'all take care. Godspeed, man. This is my show for the week, man. And we'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care. Godspeed. Be the goat, never sheep, and don't sleep on your dreams. Peace.